Hi guys, just wanted to do a bit of a follow-up on that last video of where I filmed the story of me going for a walk. Basically, just an experimental excuse to go out, shoot some footage, and try my hand at some video editing. So if you enjoyed that story, if you haven't seen that story, there'll be a link below or somewhere where you can go and check out that story. This probably won't make a whole lot of sense to you if you haven't watched it. The idea of this particular video is not so much to entertain you or to show you a story as to show my process as far as critiquing myself, looking back on that footage and seeing not just the footage but the edit and seeing what I could have done better, what I could improve. So the whole point of this exercise at the moment is to experiment, go out, get footage, improve my skills in shooting with a phone, and to get my editing skills up to scratch so that I can tell stories in the future. We've got a bunch of ideas. Amanda and I have, my partner, have a bunch of ideas of some stories that we might like to tell and some vlogging kind of ideas that we want to do. So I just wanted to get started, basically. I wanted to start the process, see how hard it was going to be, was it within our capabilities, how much work was it going to be, start getting the skill level up so that when we go to actually tell this larger story or adventure that we want to tell, that we're ready to go. A little bit more on that. We also found that because we just recently got back from a trip to Africa where we went and studied drums with the griot over there. And we found ourselves towards the end wishing that we had documented it much better. We did a few little interview kind of things of how we were feeling, and they were gold. They were really, really good stuff. And it just made us go, man, if we've been doing this the whole time, we would have some really cool content and we'd have some really great memories for ourselves. So the point of this channel right now is to just start doing stuff and see and progress and see how we go. I find myself creatively, often I can get stuck between two camps. One part of me says, hey, let's just start, see what happens, learn, and grow from there. And then there's another part of me that really wants to get things perfect right from the start. And like, I don't want to release anything. I don't even want to start until I know that I can do something really high quality. And I've got a plan, and I know exactly how I'm going to execute it, and I'm confident in myself that it's going to be really high quality. And sometimes I can get stuck in that situation and just never start because I'm never feeling like I'm ready to go. So this whole project that you're watching now is about me combating that and finding a reason and excuse to go out, shoot, do stuff, make mistakes, and learn from it. And hopefully, if you're interested, you can come along for that ride. See my progress. Hopefully, see my process in critiquing myself and see my improvement. And you can improve along, learn from my mistakes, and hopefully you can teach me too. If you know some stuff that I don't, if you can see some stuff that I'm just doing wrong, let me know. Comment below. Get in touch however you like, and let me know because I'm far from perfect. Especially my old design buddies from back in the day. Some of you have gone on to do video. I'm sure you've got miles and miles of knowledge ahead of me. So let me know. Probably talked long enough. You guys are probably getting bored. You want to see what we're doing here. So I'm going to jump right in and we'll get into my critique of the Nathan Goes for a Walk story. So I'm just going to bring up on the screen here. First time experimenting with screenshotting. So bear with in that regard too. I think it should all be going. Right, so from the first shot here, let me just mute it so you don't have to hear all the scrubbing. So again, when I was doing this shoot, it was really about just starting and getting out and doing it. And so I wasn't too worried about getting everything perfect. I just wanted to start, get a starting basis from which to critique and to move on from. So this shot, I watched a whole lot of videos, not a whole lot of videos, but some videos about using lighting from a window as being a great source of lighting. And so I just found a place in our house where there was some window light and not too much clutter in the background. One place I could find, the bedroom. And the lighting's pretty good. Like, I like the look of it. There's a little bit of noise in the background. If I scrub, you can kind of see there's a little bit of noise in the background. Not super distracting, but not ideal either. But also there's a big shadow on the side of my face here, which is not ideal. I think if we combated that, that would make a big difference. So I could do that using a light, like a third party or another source of light, to the side that would fill in that shadow. Another way would be to bounce it if I had some kind of white thing, a sheet or piece of paper or something like that. A second person would really help with that to kind of bounce and like to balance that shadow out. So that's something I would do in the future going forward. In fact, I've done that a little bit with this shot. Really hard to find a place in the house at the moment that has a window light and a background that's not completely cluttered, and I couldn't really, and this is the best that I got light coming from this direction over here, and I've filled it with a light over here, like a little portable light that I've got LED, and I've actually got a hair light, a scalp light over here just to try and make things pop a little bit. I'm not sure how successful that is. If you've got any thoughts of that, please comment below, let me know what you think. So yeah, that's what I learned from that shot, but overall I was pretty happy with it. Cool, let's carry on to the next one. Alrighty. Cool, so then we jump into the actual story. Shot of my shoes. Again, I was just kind of doing this, just going for it. Just get the footage, figure it out later, figure everything else later. Give us ourselves a starting point. So the shoes, gotta have to click there to get it to hold. All part of the learning process, guys. Alright, there we go. So these shoes are a little bit underexposed. Because I had exposed for the floor. So I guess the lesson there is you need to put the stuff that's going to be in frame, that's going to be in focus, in frame before you set your exposure. Because the shoes are underexposed. Yeah, so moving on to that next shot, I exposed for the shoes, but then that kind of blew out everything else, the ground. So not too sure how I could have done things better here. If you have any ideas, please do comment below. I'm shooting in log at the wall, and for this shoot, I was shooting in log for everything except for the slow-mo shots, just because I read that it's better. You have more control as a designer or a visual artist. I like the idea of having a lot of control, although I'm also realizing that a lot of control means a lot of variables that you can muck up, because you can change everything, means you can get some really weird effects or weird results that might not be what you're looking for. So this time I'm shooting flat. I'm going to have a go shooting in the flat mode going forward, see if that gets better results or if it's just easier to deal with or whatever. If you've got experience with that, again, let me know. If you don't know what that means and you want to know what that means, let me know. Maybe I'll do another video explaining what the difference is and that kind of thing. It's all new stuff for me too. I've been learning a lot through this journey. So next shot, me just walking out of the house, quite underexposed, a lot of noise. It gets really dark. I would have loved to have it go actually open to the door and the door opening, but that was just completely dark by the time I got there, and not good looking footage, so I had to kind of cut that a little bit early. Well, it still tells the story, but it would tell the story nicer if I had been opening the door. And also, what was I saying? Well, it told the story nicer, and yeah, so I probably should have redone my exposure, because it's clearly a darker area, rather than being like, I'm just going to go for a walk. You need to be constantly looking at the light and thinking about it if I want really nice shots. Okay, so outside, all of a sudden things start looking much nicer. I quite like the effect here, I like the colors here. Everything's much nicer. Again, the car's blowing out. I haven't really been protecting my highlights. I think I need to work on my exposure and protecting those highlights, and maybe exposing a little bit lower than what I have been. Yeah, I think I was using the circle in Filmic Pro to lock in this one. Whereas since then I've started going to like full manual mode, because I think it just gives me the ability to kind of really dial in where I want to be. So this shot here was actually the same shot, so I just kept filming as I walked through the yard, and then turned it around to face me. And again, you can see the highlights are blowing out on my shiny little scalp. So I guess the lesson there is I need to be setting my exposure lower in order to have more versatility in there in those highlights, and maybe sacrifice some of the darks, some of the shadows to get more resilience in my highlights, I guess, for my skin tone, really. Like, the skin tone's really important. So after that, we scrub through to this shot here, which again is the same shot here, but it looks quite different. I guess the lighting would have been quite different. But also, having been shooting in log, I was playing around with a bunch of different adjustment layers and that kind of stuff. And I think I just missed the mark here in my color correction, and that it just looks too different. By the time I had color corrected this and mucked around with it, I changed it too much from what it originally was, and it just doesn't quite flow the way it should. My lesson to learn from there, I think, is I just need to work on a better workflow and a better structure and plan as to how I treat my footage and how to keep it together. Because that was from the same shot. It should have been easy to get a certain amount of continuity from that. Next shot. Was it slow-mo? I can't remember if this is slow-mo or not. Maybe not. Of the bushes. Good shot, but looking at it, I think the focus is off in the background. So I think the lesson from there is just to take my time and to make sure that I'm getting, as best as I can, that what I'm trying to shoot is in focus, because there's no point just rushing on, getting footage, walking along, hurry, as I was, and just getting average footage, which isn't going to have the result that I'm intending. So take your time. Take my time a little bit more, I think, is the lesson there. So then we move to this slow motion footage, which is not shot in log. So my color correction, I did different color correction, and then I had like a treatment layer over the top, which you can actually see here. So I had my base correction, was my idea starting. Base correction here, and then, oh, actually, so that is applying to that if I look at this. So yeah, this is what I mean. I was just mucking around and kind of things will change. I think I ended up applying my color correction to the actual physical clip because it just became easier. Whether it's the best way to go or not. If you've got better workflow ideas for this kind of thing, again, let me know. Help me. Let's do this together. That's what this channel is about. Learning from each other's knowledge and mistakes. Cool. So carrying on from there. I mean, I like the value of the shot, the way it's come out. The blues are really popping. It's great. This shot here, probably one of my better shots. Probably maybe still a little bit overexposed. There's a little bit blowing out here. It wasn't shot in log because it was slow motion. So, or was it? Hold on. Let's play that. Is it slow motion? I can't remember. Yes, it is slow motion. So I've just had less detail to play with. Yeah, maybe the highlights are blowing out a little bit. But overall, a pretty nice shot. Moving on to here, this shot here, pretty good. It just didn't quite look as crisp as I'd like. I'm not sure if that's met my focus or maybe it's a frame rate issue. I've done a lot more looking into frame rates and that kind of thing since then. Yeah, the whole thing of having your frame rate double your shutter speed. Is that right? No, shutter speed double your frame rate. Yeah, got that wrong. And I'm not sure if this was following that at all. Quite possibly not. Right. Then this bit here, big lesson learnt here. So it started raining and I was walking along and I just turned the gimbal around to face me and just started shooting using the exposure that I'd used for when it was shooting out in front of me. Thinking, I've exposed for this day, this light, this should be good enough. It wasn't at all. So what happened is when I turned it around, the light was behind me or more behind me, and it's just blowing out my highlights completely. The skin color's all not very good, and yeah, it looks pretty crappy. There's a lot of color cast and just not as good as the rest of the footage. Kind of brings the whole thing down, I think, in its production values. Later on, once I do get under a bit of shade, the skin colors start to come back. Till about here, starting to look, good enough again. So once the highlight, the sun and the intensity of the sun comes down, starts to look alright again. So the lesson I learned from there is to, if I'm going to shoot myself, I need to turn back facing towards the direction I'm coming, or to the direction that I'm facing. So if I'm facing this direction, can you see me there? Yeah. If I'm facing this direction, walking this direction, and I'm shooting here, I need to turn around, expose for that direction. I won't be there, but expose there, and then turn the gimbal around, which I did later on, and it got much better results. So after this, we go to, what's going on here? It's got two different casts. I was just loading them up. That's interesting. Not sure what's going on there. Anyway, yeah, these slow motion shots of the path look pretty good to me. Color here are blowing out a little bit. Like the greens are a little bit too much in my opinion. I think that's probably just me getting carried away with my color correction and wanting to make things pop and super vibrant. Playing around with a bunch of LUTs in my own color correction and just fumbling in the dark, really. Not having a process and just kind of wanting to see what I could do. I mean, it doesn't look super bad, but I think it could do with a little bit more finesse as far as really getting hold of those greens and making them pop without just making them silly. Same kind of thing here. Basically, the shot's pretty good, pretty happy with them. But that color grading, and also you see like there's a big difference between that and that, and it kind of at this point in time the color grading seems to start changing, chopping and changing. That was probably just again my processes. But also, the other thing, and maybe you guys can help me out with this, I'd read that I should lock my white balance when I'm shooting, and that's going to give me, because normally on default the phone will just alter its white balance based on whatever's in front of it while you're shooting, which ends up meaning the color temperature changes during the shot, looks really unprofessional. So what I was doing was, before I'd shoot, I'd lock my white balance, take that shot, go on to the next one, unlock it, relock it, and so each shot would have a slightly different color temperature, slightly different white balance, which I then needed to match up in post. And I'm not sure what best practice is. Is that the right thing to do? Or am I better off going, right, I'm going to do a shoot, I'm going to lock my white balance for this entire shoot, shoot everything, and then I can adjust everything. If one adjustment to that white balance will adjust everything in the same way, and if I need to tweak anything, I can kind of tweak it a little bit. I could be willing to give that a try. Maybe some of you have tried that. Maybe you kind of know something about that. Again, please comment. Let me know. Let everyone know. Everyone who's watching this and wants to participate in this learning experience. Cool. So same kind of thing. You can see the difference. Like I quite like the look of this shot. It's got much more detail. It's got less. It's not as blown out. The greens are green. They're not silly. Like these are a bit silly. It's just a little bit too much. Doesn't look natural. Experimented with a few different kind of shots. About this point in time, I was starting to run out of ideas. Like what other shots can I get that's going to show me walking? So I started to experiment a bit, which is good. It means I started to like play with things. I quite like this little sequence of changing of the terrain. I think that kind of gives it some sort of interest from something that's very boring, me going for a walk by myself. Not much to shoot. So, good challenge. Probably should give myself more challenges like that in the future. This shot here, pretty boring. Don't have much to say about this. This one here, this is the one I'm talking about. That color temperature, like the color temperature is way colder in this one, way darker. Exposure's probably nicer, but it just looks so different to the rest of the shot of the scene. Scene, yeah. So that's what I need to combat, I think, is getting everything more uniform. And I think having a better structure to my workflow, and perhaps that white balance issue, that might help too. So please, if you do know what the best practice is, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be mucking around with it for a long time, and just to get to somewhere I could just be if someone could just tell me. This shot here, quite like this. It's like a bit of a transition from that dark into that light. It does kind of in some ways tie those two feels together. Right, yeah, this is where I get better at shooting myself, and I kind of clicked on to the, hey, I should probably be exposing to back the other way. All these little thought processes going on in my mind as I'm walking. So yeah, my mug, quite like this shot. I quite like the look of this shot, like the texture and the grain, and just the way the colours work together. I quite like in this shot. That's another thing that I think was a good idea, was wearing that coloured shirt, that bright blue shirt. Kind of helped me to stand out from the background, and was tied in an interesting way. I think the colours that I wear are actually more important than what I may have given credit for. I mean, I did consciously put that coloured shirt on, but it was an afterthought. Like, oh, maybe I should put a shirt on. That's a nice bright shirt. I'll put that on. But I think that might be a bit more important. Maybe I need to go out and get some coloured shirts for different situations, like if I want to go that far. So we'll see how we go there. Maybe I'll do that. Right, so then we get to this scene where the battery's running out, and it really ran out very quickly. I was shooting on my 6S, which is an old 6S. The reason I was shooting on that is because, well, that's a long story in itself, but I had just purchased a iPhone 8, which is kind of what got me into this in the first place. I got all excited about the ability of the iPhone 8 to shoot decent video from things I'd seen on the internet. So I just kind of got excited about it and started that process of learning and that kind of thing. And then the day after, realized that my iPhone 8 camera wasn't working. It wasn't focusing. So I had to take it in, and they couldn't give me a replacement. They had to send it away for a week. So I was just left with my iPhone 6S. But I was already going down that rabbit hole. So I was just like, stuff it. I'm just going to do it with this. And the result's pretty good. It makes me just think I could have started this a lot earlier. 6S is fine. Like it's getting pretty decent footage. Since then, this is being shot on the 8. The 8 is back. Do I notice a massive difference in quality? Haven't edited with it yet, but looking at it on screen, I don't see a massive difference. So if you've got a 6S, go for it. I found that a couple of pieces of software made much more difference than, well, my perception is that a couple of pieces of software and a gimbal made much more difference than the actual hardware of the phone. The difference between something like a 6S and an 8. And I think that will be true for a lot of phones. As long as your phone can shoot decent footage, I think if you've got the ability to control the aperture, not the aperture because you can't control the aperture on the phone, but if you've got the ability to control the exposure and the focus and that kind of thing independently and lock it, and the white balance, which this app gives you, you've got the ability to shoot some decent footage and tell some stories. So just give it a go. If you want a bit more information about the apps that I'm using and the hardware that I'm using, let me know. I'm happy to do another video on that. Comment below. All that kind of thing. So yeah, back to the issue at hand, the battery running out. So I'm getting to the end where I'm like, this footage, I really like this footage, which is why I was so gutted that the battery ran out in the middle of shooting it, or that the footage ends up chopping. After the fact, like, yeah, so this is where I suggest that that the battery is what was messing with the footage. But I think what might have actually been happening is it might have been a memory storage issue. I think my 6S was on, I don't know, it didn't have a whole lot of memory. And I think it might have been fighting with uploading the stuff to iCloud versus freeing up the space and writing that space to the internal hard drive. I'm thinking that makes a little bit more sense. I don't know. If you know, let me know, because I'd really like to stop this from happening in the future. Yeah, it just makes more sense that would be it rather than the battery. Because I also had some other footage. A lot of the other slow motion shots would have a little bit of that jumping stuff that happens like way more here. happened a little bit. I just had to like not use that part of the footage. I could just use a bit that where it was smoother. So if we can eliminate that, that'd be fantastic. So if you do know what's up with that, let me know. But yeah, by here, like this color grading, this footage, and how that looks, I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, there's a lot more. I could get a lot more finesse with doing it and start doing it a lot better. Which is the aim, yeah. So things will get better as I go on. Watched a whole lot more stuff on color grading since then. Got a whole lot more options or ideas for processes, seeing other people's processes and how they do it. So I'm looking forward to getting into that and experimenting again. So I guess it's time to tell another story, find some other story to do, shoot some more footage, and repeat all over again. So if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you very much. I assume you're interested in it in some form. Maybe you're interested in getting into doing this kind of stuff yourself. If so, please feel free to become part of this process, and let's do this together. Hit subscribe, like, share, bell. See, already much better than last time. Subscribe, hit like, share, bell notification, so you hit the bell so you're notified. I've heard people say that. I don't know what it means, but I'm pretty sure you should do that. Comment things that you'd like to see, what you might like me to talk about. Happy to get ideas for stories that you might think are a good idea for me to shoot, something that might be a challenge or something that just might be interesting, and also just things you might like to know about my setup or my philosophy or what I'm doing basically and what gear I'm using. What else do we have? Yeah, we've got a bunch more stories we'd like to tell. If that's more of your alley, don't run away at this point in time. Subscribe. There'll be plenty of stories, which are just interesting videos of us and our story. That's part of this channel too. It's going to end up being more of that, hopefully. But for now, I'm just focusing on my journey, learning about filmmaking, so that I have a reason to shoot, a reason to learn, and hopefully you get something from it. I know I've waffled on for a long time. I'm not sure how long this has been shooting for, but I know it's a long time. Thank you for your time and your patience, and we'll see you in the next one.